Thank you for joining us on our journey here to preserve the history of mixed martial arts. When I wanted to take on this project, I needed help. I brought in one of my favorite matchmakers, Miguel, and the MMA detective, Mike Davis. So to do this, we've been able to preserve history. Welcome and enjoy.
Hey, welcome back, Lights Out podcast fans. Miguel here. That's the MMA detective, and we're getting into another one of our deep dives. We are about to be joined by the big boss man, Chris Lytle, and our very, very special guest, Hector Lombard. Mike, what can you tell us about what we got in store for Hector?
Okay, so I got a lot of notes on Hector from his Bellator years. And I'm like, okay, we haven't done a Bellator deep dive yet. We're going to go there with Hector because he's got a decent resume. So I started watching a few of his Australian fights, which I had never seen before. And I realized that his career in Australia is so off the wall bonkers that it is a grand slam home run, just going fight by fight and just talking about what took place. So our three goals today are going to be Australia craziness, because he's never given an interview on it. This will be his first. When Cubans come over, there's always kind of like an issue with their age because there's no documentation. And the Cuban athlete, or even the average Cuban, is so incredibly intelligent that they realize that an omission in regards to reality could affect hundreds of thousands of dollars in regards to sports contracts. So they're always very quiet in regards to their age. And the third thing that he's never talked about is how he defected. So Chris and I went through it. We talked about several different athletes, how they got here, or to the countries that they went to. One of those things is going to make this a home run. And if we can get two or three of them, it's going to be a grand slam. I'm really excited about this interview.
So, I think, Hector too is a guy who's got a reputation for, being a kind of like a firework, he could go off at any moment in the gym and things like that. So I hope we get through the interview all right. That's all.
So Miguel, this is what I did. I've got, every time he switched gyms, I mention it. I talk about trainers. Dude, let me tell you something. We're going to get Hector going. He's going to be a train. I'm really excited about it. But before we get to the interview, please like, share, subscribe. We've never asked anybody for a single penny. All we're asking for is just hit a thumbs up, share, maybe even make a comment. If you're on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Say anything you want. We don't care. Just give us 5 stars. So with that, Miguel, I'm done.
And we're off into the wild and wacky world of Hector Lombard.
Okay, what's happening, fans? Wow, man, I'm super excited about today. Man, we have a great interview for you guys. Deep dive with one of the greats, Hector Lombard. Now, Hector was Olympian. The guy's a champion. The dude's been fighting all over the world. Now he's even doing the bare knuckle. He's a champ of that. This guy's a champ left and right. Man, one of our great people we get to interview. Hector, how the hell are you, brother?
I'm doing great.
Good.
You're
Good.
letting yourself, bro. So
shit, you're too kind, man. Too kind. Now with me, I got Miguel up on your right, man. He was a matchmaker for Hook and Shoot and did Bodog work. Mike Davis out here. He's our MMA detective. So my first thing, a little bit of question. I need to get a little bit of background on people. So what was your combative background? I know you're an Olympian. I mean, just tell the people, what did you do? What were your sports you did growing up?
I done all kind of sports, from MMA to BJJ. I'm a black belt in BJJ. I competed in the Abu Dhabi, the Olympics. And I'm kind of offended with Dana White. He says that Dan is the god of combat sports. I am the goat of combat sports.
I love it. So now I don't know. I've never heard you talk about this. And if you don't want to, not a big deal. But I mean, when did you're from Cuba. When did you leave there? And can you tell me that process and what made you decide and how did it happen, man?
Stayed in the Olympics and, from there I started my MMA career and I moved from Australia to here and that's it. that's the whole story.
What part of Australia were you in?
I was living in Sydney at the beginning, and then from Sydney I moved to Melbourne. Then from Melbourne I moved to the Gold Coast. And then from the Gold Coast side.
Hector, I've been to Cuba a few times. When you defected from there, how difficult was it?
You know, the thing is that people doesn't understand that it's very easy because if you take a look at the law, the minute that you should touch a soil in any other country, especially at that time, and you're allowed to stay anywhere as Cuban.
Okay, but the coaches and your teammates, like in Cuba, because of the system, from what I understand, is their job is to kind of make sure that they bring people over that won't defect because, you know, they don't want to deal with, you know, embarrassment or whatever it was. So you had to keep this secret completely to yourself prior to you defecting. Am I correct?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
That's not easy. That's not easy.
Hey, man, he's a mentally tough guy doing mentally tough stuff, man. What do you know what I mean? He could do, I get it, man. I mean,
there's a couple,
there's
a couple baseball players that dress like women and like got through the airport with visas. There's people that come with boats. Like it is.
Oh, yeah.
Coaches on baseball teams, they work directly for the government. So sometimes like they might not be the best coach, but because they have good government connections and they're like a trusted ally of the Cuban government, they get the job rather than somebody that's even more important. The news in Cuba is very locked down, like Felix Savon. People on the island, unless they're in the boxing community, he's a 3-time gold medal boxer, they don't know that he's in jail. Like they have to ask people because, you know, he was the country's, you know, biggest, like the Michael Jordan of Cuba. And a lot of people in the country, they don't know that he's been in prison for like 6 or 7 years. They just assume he's living in Santiago.
Well, yeah. Hector, so you competed in the 2000 Olympics in Australia. Did you know when you went to Australia that you were going to stay, or did you make the decision there?
I don't even want to be honest, I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay. Cool.
What does this have to do with our interview?
Okay,
it's interesting story, man.
Let's talk about what we got going on in Barnett. I want to beat some ass. Finally, I think I'm gonna get my hands on some clown that I want to get him.
Okay. So how did your MMA career start, man? How did that come to be?
I was in Australia, and it was kind of like pretty hard for me to kind of like adjust to a system that I wasn't used to it, which is work.
Yeah.
I don't like to work.
Because
I'm a lazy guy. I just don't want to work and having a guy telling me what to do and, you know, just pushing my buttons. And, you know, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an independent person. And if you guys are entrepreneurs, you understand like how painful having a guy who's just telling you what to do. And it's never good enough. No matter if you're doing a proper job, no matter if you do a perfect job, they're always gonna tell you, oh, you should do it that way. You should, because you if you're doing a good job, it's you're touching the guy's ego. And if you're doing a terrible job, the guy's gonna be up your ass. So you never win. So I couldn't get used to that. So I decided to be on my own. I decided to work for my own. And I got into a lot of trouble. And I decided to start fighting in the street. And a good friend of mine here, which is still a good friend of mine, he took care of me. He said, hey, listen, you know, instead you fighting, you know, in the hood and stuff, why you just don't make money? And
there you go.
I remember like I fought this guy, Mike Brown. He was kind of like a gangster back in the days. very famous guy in Australia. A lot of people
Chris Brown.
Scared of him. Chris Brown. Like the
Chris
singer.
Brown. So it's your second fight, and he's a 4-time Olympic wrestler. Yes.
Wow.
Right.
Well, that's a big man.
Yeah, he beat the Gracies, and everybody used to be scared of him. And,
He's got a win over Henzo in ADCC. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
a tough second fight, man. That's a tough second fight.
Yes, and everybody was scared of him, and I'm just running around with these guys that are really badasses, right? I don't know if you're gonna mention it up here, and he was running some stuff down there in Melbourne, and I knew about it, and I wanted to clash with the guy, fast. Yeah, later on I took all his shit too, but no in the street. So so we get to the fight, and he's walking around with all these bullshit artists acting like gangsters and stuff like that. We like big gold change and stuff like that, whatever. And I'm just looking at him, and he said to me before the weigh-ins, "Hey, listen, you gotta pay for you, bitch." I said, like, watch tomorrow what I gotta do to you. So I KO the guy, nice and clean.
Real.
And they gave me the victory. This is how unfair these people are. Okay. And this is a story in my life where I've been through a lot of pain. I've been through a lot of injustice. So I KO the guy. They gave me the victory and stuff like that. And then they cleared the fight, no contest. The referee says, the same referee that took 4 fights from me, he took 4 fights from me, and another 2, he was close to taking. The same referee says, "Oh, you helped the guy," and it's no contest. You guys can check the video, and so they took the fight from me. They took the win from me, and the stuff like that.
All right, so Hector, if you let me kind of let these guys understand what took place, because it's an absolute travesty. So March 12, 2005, for Warriors Realm, he fights Chris Brown. He's got ADCC win over Henzo, 4-time Olympic wrestler. Chris goes to touch gloves. Hector waves it off.
You know why I didn't want to touch glove shooting? Sorry to interrupt you, but you know why? Because he was acting like a gangster outside the cage. So I said to him, like, what's what I gotta do to you? But then at the same time, I said to myself, like, fuck you. You acting like an asshole before the fight.
Yeah.
Acting like you think I'm gonna be scared of you. And now you want to touch gloves when we got business to solve.
Yeah.
We got business to take care of. Fuck you.
Dude, this is great. So Hector waves it off. Chris walks backwards for like another 3 seconds goes by. So the fight started. I mean, there's no sucker punching. There's no issues with what took place. Hector hits him, and I think Chris almost died. Like he was just flatlined. It was just a brutal knockout with 1 punch thrown, and it was. But you
see, sorry to interrupt you again. But you see, when he's just staying ahead, I'm kind of like worrying. I said, like, just fuck off. I don't want to touch your gloves. But I'm kind of like waving him and say, like, just get ready. I got to knock you out.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the controversy. So there's only 1 punch thrown. The fight's 12 seconds long. They ruled a no contest. The referee, Cam Quinn is the name of the referee. Here's the problem. So I watched this fight.
That guy hates me I never did anything to him. And most of the times I used to come to him and I ask him, dude, why you hate me, bro? And I don't want to bring color of the skin or anything like that, because at the end of the day, that shit doesn't mean shit to me. At the end of the day, to be honest, I can care less about race or whatever. But this guy really hate me for no reason.
I know why. I can tell you why.
Let's hear
So
it.
John Donahue is like one of the big black belts in Australia. Chris Brown trains his lineage under John Donahue, and the referee also trains. That fight was a setup. Before you even walked into that cage, that was a setup. And the reason I know is because everything that took place was legal. There was nothing that they could do about it. They never expected it to end that way. So he said, well, a headbutt was thrown. Hector's head was probably this far away from Chris Brown the entire fight. Like the heads weren't even close. I don't know, but it's because of their lineage. That was a setup. And Hector, all of my questions are on Australia.
Let me ask you a question. Are you an investigator of MMA? Because how come you know all that story?
Yes, he is. That is the MMA detective.
He's an MMA detective.
Yes.
It's crazy because you know even that Donahue. I mean, like, this is crazy.
Hector, I've got more.
Let's hear it. Bring it.
We're going to get there. We started a little rough. We're going to smooth these waters out.
Well,
so your next fight.
I think there's one other little caveat there is, as you mentioned, Chris Brown was a guy that they were very proud of. And I think he's a guy that at this point this may have been a retirement fight or a comeback fight. He was older, and this was supposed to be the start of his career. And I think that the matchmaker made a big mistake. That's I think what happened.
You know what happened? You know what happened? I can tell you what.
Go ahead.
They were looking for a guy, and every single person in Australia we say, fuck no, I'm not fighting that dude. That dude is an Olympian,
for sure,
strong as fuck. And then on top of that, he was running the streets. So he had a bunch of gangsters. He had a bunch of gangsters around that they would scare you off. I'm telling you, listen, if you had no cut from the cloth that I am cut, I would have thrown my fire, because it was a bunch of fucking guys, bunch of bikers up there, bunch of guys with gold chains. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? It was very intimidating. Not to me, because I can care less. But guys with tattoo in the face, at the weigh-ins, before the weigh-ins, knocking in front of my door, you know, while I was sleeping. And I will say no more.
Everybody else is afraid of this guy, you know, and they probably brought you in thinking, this is his second fight. We're going to beat an Olympian, and it'll make him look good, but it didn't happen like that. You knocked him out in 12 seconds.
Chris, I will tell you that the country of Australia was not big enough for Hector Lombard. It was not big enough. Hector, like sometimes, like when you're in school, they say, oh, you can't hang out with this kid or that kid. The entire country of Australia, very fast, right after this fight, nobody wanted to fight him. Like, it was as plain as day.
I bet.
People were scared shitless of him. And I have proof. I have documented proof. We're going to go to Hector's fourth fight. Hector's fourth fight was on the Extreme Fighting Championship 10. He fought David Frendin, where he knocked out David in 52 seconds. And at this time, I'm thinking Hector was, you know, pretty intense in the gyms, because what happens is Hector cracks him. Like, the guy flatlines.
Sorry to interrupt you. I need to get a charger right here.
Okay.
My phone's gonna go off. Hold on.
Okay.
He's having fun.
Oh, no, dude. You guys, I have got shit that is mind-boggling. Like, on this one, he knocks this guy out, and the referee jumps on him like they're like trying to save the guy's life. And Hector wasn't like administering extra punches. It was just the punch that landed was like bonkers. Hector's like, it's not like he's happy he wins. He's like, oh my God, I did something wrong. What happened? What's happening here? Like, Hector isn't caught up in the throes of victory. He's like, holy shit. What did I break another rule? What happened here?
Now, I remember I fought there in Australia a couple of times, and it was like they were really into it, man. Like the UFC, you know, you come here and there's at at like Vegas. Nobody shows up from the prelims. I mean, that place was packed from the first fight to the last. I mean, they were fired up.
Yeah, they're big fights.
Yeah, they were very into the fights, man. They loved it down there. So
I got it.
All right. So Hector, you're training out of first-rate MMA at this time. We're talking March 13th.
Listen. I don't want to be your enemy, dude. I gotta tell you this much. I probably gotta need your phone number.
Hector, we sat next to each other at the bare knuckle bout, I think Knucklepedia or Knucklemania, and I was holding my whole breath the entire time because I want no part of any problems with you.
But wait. It's amazing how the amount of knowledge that you have. It's impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you're a good historian, so I'm pretty sure like we can have a bunch of debates about history and about so many things.
Yes. So Hector, you're at First Rate MMA, and you're kind of bouncing from gyms, and I think it's because you're very intense. Like, you don't mess around, whether it's in the cage or at practice. You're 100% all the time. You hit David Frendin at 52 seconds, and the referee jumps on you like you're about to commit a murder, but you're not. We're going to finish the fight. And your reaction is like, I didn't break any rules. I didn't do anything. And then they told you won, and then you celebrated, but you were very concerned. After
no,
the guy out. It was your first title in Australia.
The reason why, because for somehow, man, I'm telling you, it was, I don't even know I can explain to you the unfairness.
Unfair, yeah.
You guys have no clue. And one day, maybe if something up there in a higher power allows me to maybe get involved with you guys, that we can talk about it, because it was not right. It was not right what they did to me. And now I see the sport of Australia blowing up, especially in MMA, and eventually it's gonna blow up in bare knuckle. And it's funny, like, I was one of the guys that really took the sport in another level and push it where he's at. Even at the CFC, where I can tell you the story about what happened with the CFC, but it's just crazy. Like, they just don't want to even talk to me. They don't mention my name, and it happened not just in Australia, but even Bellator. Like, I built Bellator, and these guys, for somehow, they hate me. And I'm like, what did I ever say to these people? What did I ever say? If you would be like Will Brooks, that he was talking so much shit about that organization, when he was fighting for, I understand. But I never even mentioned anything about Bellator. And these guys that truly hate me. I would love to know why. All I did was put in great fights and put these guys on the map. And it's just, the hate is unbearable.
Well, Hector, that's unfortunate, but I got to tell you one thing. All I know is you are well-liked at BKFC, so you found a home there, brother. We like
That's
you.
True.
Everybody's going to treat you good there, I promise, okay?
Yeah,
that's all
this is something that, it really made me happy, because, even like, obviously, my Cuban people, they were sharing my name and stuff like that, which is like something that I never had, because I was fighting all these years in Australia, and all I got, it was booing, and all I got, it was, wow, I just cannot even explain you, man.
Well,
man, I didn't know that.
By his fifth fight, the entire country didn't want to fight him. So they were really overpaying a lot of people, and it was easier for them to bring in somebody from like Japan. So for Explosion MMA, March 18, 2006, you fought Takase. And Takase was supposed to be your real first test. What was your mindset going into that fight?
Yeah, they both Takase, very experienced fighter. He actually beat a few fights. Beat Anderson Silva.
Oh, and ankle lock.
Yeah, and it was it was a fight where I was supposed to lose.
Yes.
And if you see the referee, he stopped the guy, and he's telling to the guy like, "Listen, this guy can maybe knock you out in Japanese. Protect yourself." I was blowing away because I know a little bit of Japanese.
Ooh.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Once again, it was Quinn, the referee of the fight.
Yes.
And
the referee's warning him?
If you see the whole fight, he's protecting the guy the whole time.
So Hector's in the guy's guard. Okay. He's a savage. There's no, doubting Hector's ability on top game. So Hector steps out of the guard, points at him, get up. The guy gets up and he says, "Hey, I lost my contact lenses." The referee, who Hector obviously is mentioning, takes his time picking up the contact lenses. Okay. Gives the guy a little, he's telling him, "Hey, protect yourself. You're going to get knocked out." So Takase runs at Hector with like a flying knee and eats a right hand. And I thought he died. Like, this is like the third person. Hector, we do these deep dives with people. This is you and Chris Cyborg are my favorite because you watch like a car crash. Let me ask
you. Do you saw the same fight, the fight against James Te Huna?
I've watched every single one of your fights, and I have them all right here.
Let me explain to Chris. So he understands that I'm not lying when I'm saying to this guy that this guy truly hates me. And I'm not a person that likes to kind of like put things up there, till you really get on my nerves and you really harm my life, because this guy not just took a lot of fights from me, but I felt at the end that my life was in danger when he was refereeing my fights.
Really?
So, Chris, I'm fighting James Te Huna. James Te Huna is the 205 guy.
Oh, I know Te Huna.
He fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
Extremely strong, extremely talented. So I'm fighting James Te Huna. And
we got that. You want to do that now, Hector?
Yeah, he's talking about his
I'm trying to explain, Chris, what happened with the same referee.
Yeah, go, Hector, please go.
Yeah.
So the guy dislocated his shoulder. But before the guy dislocated the shoulder and knocked him out, he stopped the fight, and then he restarted the fight again. Can you explain to him? Because
would you mind?
You explain,
Hector. This is fantastic. Okay, so we love the independent grind, and I called Chris and Miguel both about this, and I said, Hector's got some crazy shit in Australia. I don't want to talk about the UFC. I don't want to talk about Bellator. I only want to talk about Australia. I've got only your fights in Australia with my notes, Hector. So you have to.
The hate was unbearable. I just couldn't take it.
Real quick, Hector. Did you ever say, "I don't want this guy to ref me anymore. I'm not fighting for him. Get another ref"? Did you ever say that?
But the thing is, like, they all did.
Man.
So this is what takes place.
I couldn't get any referee. They all used to hate my guts.
I don't get it.
Chris, the opening exchange. It's not even like 2 or 3 exchanges. It's one exchange. Hector knocks him out. And he gets on. He's ready to punch him again. The referee jumps on Hector. And I think Hector's second or third punch, the first punch knocks him out. I think the second or third one wakes him up. But here's the thing. He's trying to double leg the referee.
But
the
fight's over.
The fight's over.
Yeah.
Hector's celebrating. Like, dude, Hector did his job. You don't get paid extra for more time. Like, he trained, he got in, he got out. So then in true non-sanctioned like greatness, the referee, the crowd's booing. There's a lot of chanting. The referee's kind of like looking around. And I think it was, let me see if I got it. He said Hector committed a foul and he kicked him in the head, which is not true. He gives the guy time to rest, gives him like 3 minutes to just relax, chill out, get your bearings. Okay, you ready again? Okay, we're going to start this fight one more time. They start the fight again. Hector kills him again. Okay? So now, like Hector, I
really, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so I know you.
Really, honestly, I want to cry because honestly, if that would have happened to Chris in his career or whatever, and I know like you had like a bunch of bumps and stuff like that, but I would cry because the level of unfairness, it was unbearable, and the people were booing, and obviously I'm fighting in the territory where this guy is from. So like these guys, they want this guy to win.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't care. I was just like, okay, you pay me, I'll fight. I can care less. Whatever you go on your Sabbath, you go in your home, I'll fight you there. I can care less. I want to get paid. But
so they separate.
Hold on,
okay.
real quick, Hector. This is fascinating to me because I never saw you fight until you got in UFC, Bellator, stuff like that. That's when I saw you fight. So I don't know these old Australian stories. These are nuts, man. I
they're crazy.
Can't believe they didn't like you like this. That's nuts. You think they'd have supported you?
Hector,
they're not.
So
he's telling you stories. He's telling you.
No, they're good. I love them.
What I went through.
So Hector, let's talk about what takes place afterward. Well, first,
what happened next?
Chris, he's no longer at first-rate Ultimate Gym in Melbourne. He's at 5 Rings. He's at 5 Rings. So he switches gyms again.
Where's 5 Rings at? Melbourne?
5 is on the Gold Coast. On the
Gold Coast, okay.
So he's at 5 Rings, and what happens is the referee breaks it up again, and Hector is pacing like a madman. Like he is punching the fence, screaming, but he's not yelling at the referee. He's being respectful. He's looking away from the referee because he just fought twice. He didn't fight one time. He just fought twice. The referee is like walking with him. Like, you won. Why be upset? Like, in other words, hey, if you lost, I can understand you're angry, but you won, so don't be upset. And Hector's yelling, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Hector, how close was the referee to getting punched?
It's just this guy. I'm telling you, like I don't know who's saying this guy. First of all, you know the rules. Chris, you know the rules.
Yeah.
Once the referee step in, the fight is finished. I can care less about anything else. You step in, you separate the fight, it's over.
It's over.
He jump in, separate the fight, give me the win, and then people start booing, and he restart the fight again. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? What the hell you doing? But the guy, it was too many things. 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. I was like,
so there's a few things that took place before this. So Hector, like we're gonna go back a few fights. So Hector is the whole island is scared of him. Like the country. I was not there. No one wanted any part of Hector Lombard. So much so that Justin Lawrence, who I like, gets involved, helps Hector with his career, and puts an ad on eBay selling Hector's services, just kind of taunting everybody locally and drawing up kind of, not so much controversy, but people were talking around the world because of that.
You don't even know what happened in that story.
Go ahead.
Let's hear it.
Justin Lowry says to me, hey, listen, I got involved with Gyro. You're supposed to go to Japan. Let's go to Japan. You guys should start training there, and they just want to go and meet you. I get there. That was Tuesday. And then I'm in Tuesday, and then they start checking my weight. And I'm like, why are you guys checking my weight?
Yeah.
The next day goes by. We training, I'm training. And then on Wednesday, they go, you close to the fight. We got you a fight in Pride. I was like, what the fuck? Wow. I was training in Australia. I was like, you know, so I'm in Japan with these guys living in Japan. So I'm like, you know what? I bet I should freaking take the fight because I'm probably gonna get killed here with all these Yakuza, whatever. Because they were Yakuzas, especially Koko-san and Yoshida. They went by with the Yakuza.
They seem like good guys to me, Hector, but that's okay. Go ahead. All right.
So I say, okay, you just whatever, I'll fight. But man, they did me wrong too.
Them too.
Well, yeah. they brought him out there to say he was training, and then he's fighting that weekend.
Yeah, wait, let's talk about the opponent.
It is Pride, Chris, but
it was Akihiro Gono. They brought him out there without training for Akihiro Gono.
And then I find out that Akihiro Gono was training with them, and Akihiro Gono, it was part of that team.
Yep. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, is that where you met Liborio and American Top Team for the Future? Because they were there, I think.
No, I kind of like the way they were kind of like the system that they had, because I used to, you know, I'm coming from an Olympic team, and Liborio kind of like it had the same system where, you know, they have a trainer, they have a conditioner trainer, they have a nutritionist. So I kind of like I was fascinated by that, because I said, wow, you know, this is a real team.
Yeah.
And I always reach out, but they never go back to me. And you know, after I couldn't take it anymore in Australia, I said, you know what, I just gotta come to America and start training. So my first stop was in the Team Quest.
Team Quest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I was training there, and Dan Henderson never liked me. So none of the guys over there ever liked me either. And then I know now why, because it was a guy at Team Quest, his name is Ferry Kide, that I got him involved with these guys. So he kind of like, it was kind of like having jealousy / you know, love and hate. So he was dropping bad things about me. So when I got there, already nobody liked me.
Okay.
So I should decide to make a move, and then I moved to with Josh Barnett.
AMC up in Seattle.
Yes.
No.
Okay, real quick, when you were training with Team Quest, how was the training there?
Josh Barnett was training with Josh Barnett was training with
Eric Paulson.
Yeah.
In California, then, yeah.
And then once again, here I'm in trouble. Once again, Josh Barnett was ruling these guys like Hitler. I swear I couldn't take it. The guys have to buy him lunch.
What?
Clean his car on the weekends.
Oh no! Are you kidding?
I'm not lying to you guys. I really don't lie. I never lie in my life. So every weekend, some new guy or some guy have to wash his car, and he have 2 cars. So he put the cars there and then wash my car, clean my car, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" So here am I, which is I'm not scared of no man. I can care less if I die. I really want to die so many times because of my past. You know, I growing up, my dad beat me up. You know, wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, my dad drunk, beating the shit out of me. And I grew up with so much violence. So I don't like fucking bullies. I hate bullies because I was bullied by my dad since I was 10 years old. So I said to him like, bro, you a piece of shit. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, like, the way you treat these kids is fucking wrong. So he said, oh, I see you in sparring on Tuesday. I said, fuck you. I spar you anytime you want. So we spar for about, no lying to you, about an hour and 20 minutes. And then he gave up. I was in a good shape. I was young. I was strong. I was a beast at the time. So he gave up. And he knows he gave up.
Oh,
a lot of people say, oh, you're a liar. I said, like, no, he gave up. And I would look in his face and I would tell him in his eyes, you give up that day. He quit. He said, oh, I'm done. Bitch. I said to you, you're a bitch. So I said to him, like, I know it's scared or not, man. And listen, if you beat me up, I'm going to come back with something. I'm going to come back with something. I'm going to set you up. I'm going to come back with something and I'm going to hate you so bad. You're a piece of shit. You're trash. So he had the tightest shit. People had to clean his shoes, wash his clothes. I mean, the whole shit was a joke down there. So I left and I moved to ATT.
Okay, let's rewind. I got more Australia stuff, Chris.
Well, hold on. I got a question real quick, man. When you were training like with Team Quest, how was it training there? Was it hard training? Did you get into with some of the guys there? I mean, because if they didn't like you, you ain't gonna take that. Did you get into it with them?
No, I only got like a it was with Ferry because I find out like he was kind of like a drop kind of like a he was the reason why the people that I think Quest didn't like me. So I got on him, I beat him up, but it was too late because already the guys had a bad feeling of me.
I see. Okay.
So I just took off, but it was a good place, man.
Tough room. Good fighters.
Yeah. So, I have nothing bad to say about that team. I just like I start find out like they just didn't like me.
Because the other guy messed it up for you before you got there. That wasn't your fault. Okay.
So I moved and I was training at CSW, and I just didn't like the way that Josh Barnett was treating those guys. I can give you so many different names that he wasn't bullying them, but they were so afraid of him that they would do whatever he take, like bringing lunch or paying for that. I'm saying, motherfucker, you got more money than these guys, man. They work. And then on top of that, they got to pay for your lunch. Fuck you. You make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a fight. You got businesses, and then you made these guys to pay for your lunch. It's bullshit.
Man, that's a very Japanese attitude. You know what I mean? Like this. I don't know. I don't like that.
He was the king, and everybody had to suck his, his dick or whatever. I was like, what, bro? So I'm out. I left.
All right, so Hector, you fought. Okay, Chris. Sometimes there's people that pretend that they're smarter than mixed martial arts, and they're going to do something new. They're going to change the sport. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. Hector, July 22nd, 2006, you fight for Dojo KO. Do you want to say what that ridiculous fight was, or do you want me to say it?
Like, listen, I'm a prostitute in my own way. You pay me a fight.
Okay, so Chris, go ahead. This is great.
Yeah, you go.
Okay, so Chris, this guy has a circle platform, like a sumo wrestling platform, but raised.
Okay.
And there's no striking on the ground. It's the most bizarre thing. Hector, I don't know how you didn't kill somebody in that organization, just based on like MMA gloves, standing up. There's like a cliff that somebody could fall off of. Like it's nuts.
There's no cage.
They actually went out of business after that fight because they spent so much money. They spent so much money, so much advertising. spent so much money. You want to laugh?
Yeah.
How much you think I got paid for that fight?
10 grand.
At that time, and I'm talking about that time. I'm talking about now.
Probably 1,000.
How long ago was that?
2006. July 2006.
2006.
So 500, 1,000. You got at least $1,000. You're the number one guy in the country.
I'm saying
That's
5,000.
low.
I got $30,000 for that fight.
Oh, no wonder they went out of business.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So he fights Michael Ravenscraft. And Michael was, I mean, he did much better than I had expected. Because when I looked up his record, I put the fight on, I'm like, oh no, this is going to be ugly. But no, I thought he did pretty good considering.
Yeah, it was a heavyweight guy. And it was, had a bunch of pounds over me. But the money was right. And I'm like, fuck yeah. That's big money. Especially at that time. We never got paid. We did it for love. And this is something that, you being in the same situation, Chris, we fought because we love the sport. We didn't fall because social media. We didn't fall because it's cool and a bunch of pussy wants to fuck you now because you cool. No, we fought because we like the shit. We like to fight.
Hey,
I swear, like
100%. It wasn't back in the day. There was no money involved, man. When I first started fighting, my first time I fought in UFC, I got paid $500. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was no money. So people were real fighters then because you didn't do it because people liked it or the girls like you say did it because you were a fighter. Who you were.
And that's the difference between the OGs and the people today, because today, and this is my opinion, Chris. I feel at one point the level is gonna sink because they're not doing it. They're not doing it for the right reason. They're not fighting up there for the right reason. They fight because it's big money and it's big following on Instagram and it's big, but they don't really have that passion.
They don't have the heart, man. They don't have the heart. You know what I mean? Like they might be big and strong, but like when push comes to shove, they'll quit, and you don't want that. You want the hardcore guy who's going to go out there and put on great fights no matter what. A lot of those old, new guys, they might be good and talented, but they're not, they don't have any heart, man.
Yep.
So,
and that's exactly, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Hector, I'm going to help them understand of just how bad it was for you in Australia with this next fight. Because it's not over. Dude, you guys have no idea. It's not over. I was calling Miguel for like 10 days, like, you're not going to believe this. Mm-hmm. So Cage Fighting Championship, which is kind of like a biker run organization. And I don't know that because anybody's told me that. I'm just looking at all the tables in the front row and the audience there. They're clearly biker gang guys. And they ended like all of a sudden. Usually it reeks of like a biker gang type show. They put in against him Kyle Noke.
I know Kyle Noke, yeah.
Hector, how about that fight?
Look, before that fight, I got home invasion, and I almost got killed a week before that fight.
What happened?
I got home invasion.
A home invasion.
Oh, wow.
And if it wouldn't be, I have two dogs, I wouldn't be here today. But
really? What happened?
The shit that I went through in Australia was crazy. But I couldn't train. I have so much drama. And Kyle, no. He, yeah, it was just, it was crazy back then, bro. I'm telling you, like, I don't even know. First of all, I don't even know why I'm alive today. I don't even know if it's a higher being up there, and this is something I'm not religious at all. I used to be at one point, but I'm not religious anymore. I truly feel that there is a higher power and there's a higher being up there, but I'm not religious. But I do believe there is a higher power. So I'm sure like that guy, whoever is the creator, he was looking up to me because, man, it was horrible.
Well, what happened?
No, I guess at the end, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I truly dominated the guy for the first, the beginning till the second and almost the end of the second round. And then they call the fight a draw, which is I truly won that fight because I hit him with so many different shots and stuff like that, but he was grabbing me and hold me down and stuff like that. And then at the end, it was, they call it a draw. But I truly dominated the fight inside out.
Okay, so this fight, the Cage Fighting Championship, they do a fantastic job of documenting Hector's fights online. All of them except like 2 or 3 are available. On this fight, there's only 2 minutes. No, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes that exist of this fight. And it's only the last 2 minutes where the color commentary said, well, Noke won maybe the last minute and a half. But if you look at the totality of the fight, there's no way anybody could take this fight away from Hector Lombard. So we don't get to see the first 2 rounds. But the 2 color commentators that are usually always trying to hype up the guy that Hector's fighting based on like what I've seen are saying, no, Hector won the fight. And they don't do the decision at the end. It just kind of ends as the bell ends and it's a draw. I don't believe you lost that fight.
I did not, but
or draw. I don't believe it was even a draw.
I don't think that's one of my worst. I don't even think that's one of my worst things. I truly believe there is a lot of stuff up there, like it's being like really fucked up. Like really fucked up. Like this fight, do you ever saw the fight explosion? Like it's not an MMA, it doesn't appear in my record. It's just like they used to do these kind of like fights, like the first round, it was kickboxing and
then MMA thing.
It would be a Muay Thai.
I've seen those, yeah.
So you got the referee taking me points for no reason. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I don't know if you saw that, like Larry Papadopoulos.
Yes.
Like he's just like looking at me and he's just taking points out of me for no reason. I was like, damn, bro, like for real? I mean, shit like that. I don't know if you saw it, like me against what's the name of the guy? Shit, there was an explosion fight. X rules, like.
Oh, you're talking about Hexagon? You're talking about Tatsuya Kurisu?
No. It's explosion, but it was against the Muay Thai fighter. He fought against Nathan Corbett. He fought against like big names in Australia and New Zealand. And I'm in the fight, and you see the referee taking points out of me for no reason. For no reason at all. He was just taking points. He was so close to disqualify me and take me out of the fight.
So just for people can understand like what level Hector was fighting at, like not only did no one want to fight Hector, but the guy that Noke, who we just talked about, 4 fights later, he's on the Ultimate Fighter season 11. Like these are serious opponents that they keep throwing at you, hoping to kind of crack that puzzle. Yeah. But you keep pushing through. Like no matter what they throw at you, you just blast through.
Is that Aaron Boys?
Yes. How you find that guy?
Yeah,
they're good.
You guys are police. Listen, I need to get in your guys' schedule because you guys are too smart. You guys are too smart. You guys are too knowledgeable about the sport.
Well, we love you, man. We love you. Thank you.
This is something, Chris. This is something that I really respect for you, because whatever you are, whatever you always kind of like putting, do the breakdowns with this bare knuckle MMA or whatever. There's a knowledge behind.
Thank you.
And it bothers me when you see like all these people that come on board with the UFC, obviously because it's cool. It's cool now to be involved with MMA. Yeah. It's cool now to kind of like, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Hector. Okay, wait. You just opened up a door. I wasn't even going to ask this, but I have to. Your UFC debut. I'm not even talking about UFC, but I have to ask this one question. Ariel Halwani's the new reporter for the UFC at this time, and he doesn't know much about MMA. There's a couple videos out there.
Don't get me started with this clown. Don't you get me again started with that clown. That guy is the biggest groupie, biggest clown I ever see in my whole life. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when I really find out like the guy was like this, 100% a joke. Remember when he was up Gina Carano's ass, like he was chasing her and chasing her and chasing her, and then at the end, finally, she kind of like allowed him to do some interviews with her and stuff like that, and over the sudden, because the poor girl, all she did was making a comment, which is, it makes sense because it's true. If you are a Republican, that's the comment that she made. If you are a Republican, it's worse to be a Republican than being a Jew.
Yeah.
Because you get that the people annihilate you so much, like the media and everybody saw it against you, that it's worse to be a Republican than being a Jew. But she's not bashing Jewish people. She's not bashing anybody. She's just putting an example that how hard and how bad it is to be a Republican nowadays, because everybody's against you. All she say, which makes sense, but I'm just like, I'm the spectator. This guy goes, oh guys, I'm a Jewish heritage, and how hard, dude, what that have to do with the girl say? She simply, and then it will tell you how fake this clown is. It made me sick.
So Hector, your first fight, he interviews everybody except you. Did you refuse an interview with him, your first UFC debut?
It's always been that way, bro. It's always been that way, and I never refused an interview with anybody. When Chris told me that let's do an interview, I replied to him right away. Okay, let's do it this day. Okay, let's do it. Time, whatever. I never gonna refuse that because it's part of my job. It's just that hate. It's just simply that hate that I'm used to it right now. I'm just laugh because honestly, I don't want to go crazy. And that gonna make me crazy. They used to make me crazy in the past, but I can't care less anymore.
Well, at that time, if you watch his interview with Nick Thompson, he asked him when he's going to defend the Bodog belt when I think he's, in the UFC or maybe Strikeforce. And he's like, man, Bodog closed like a year ago. What are you talking about? And he's like, oh, I mean, it's just like he got exposed,
So now you see what he's doing, right?
Picking fights with people and then like kind of like threatening.
Now,
you better not say anything bad about him.
Actually, my friend is the owner of the company, and now he's got like I think like he's got an input in there because he's trying to connect my friend with other organizations, and now he makes it looks like he's the main of that organization. No, you're not, moron. you just trying to get involved, but part of that. So he looks like he is the owner of that organization, the one that's coming up. You know that, right?
Yeah, the HCW or something, I think it was called.
Yeah, which is pretty clever. I told the guy, like, this is very smart because everybody wants to own the team. And I truly believe like Ben Nago should do that too, because we want to own the team. And if you own a team, any person or any city or any county or any province is gonna support your team. So it's gonna be very profitable because a lot of people gotta put money in it. So I really like that idea.
So Hector, did you think maybe that home invasion was a part of either from the gym side or an organization side, or was it personal? Where do you think maybe that stemmed from, if you don't mind me asking?
It was the personal thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, leave it. So here's the interesting part about Hector's career. So November 2nd, 2007, he fights on Hexagon, where he fights Tatsuya Karisu. Miguel, check that, please. Karisu, where in the first round, dude, you mopped him in a minute 25. He gets offered a UFC contract, but he's still working out his visa. So you don't go to the UFC, but then November 23rd, you swing into the Cage Fighting Championship title fight against an incredibly durable Jean-Francis, was it Lenoga from France? Yeah. So they're bringing in Japanese and French fighters for him because no one on that no one in that country will fight him.
Yeah, Francis Leno. Yeah, he fought in Bodo, I think, too. But I won the fight, and after that, they start bringing like fighters that used to fight in the UFC, and right after that, after I finished with I came to Bellator, I think.
That's correct. So at this fight, you were with the Lions Den Academy.
Yes.
How was that gym?
It was great. It was run
Australia,
by
Chris. Lions Den, Australia.
Okay.
It was run by Luke Pizzuti, and he was a very knowledgeable guy. He actually used to be a former fighter.
Cool.
And I think that gym was like, they had like a lot of talent up there. I remember like Rob Whittaker, because we start Rob. We start Rob Whittaker. Whittaker started with us.
Nice.
I remember. Yeah, the CFC.
That's correct. Okay.
I remember when he was a kid, because his cousin, a friend of mine. All these guys are really, really crazy. And he was always fighting. And I said, like, bro, this kid is going to be something special in fighting, because he always fight. And little by little, he started training. And he was actually training on the, his coach was a student from Luke Pizzuti, his former coach. And then he used to come and learn some stuff from Luke. And he fought in CFC, I think, like 3 times. He actually fought for the belt against this talented fighter from the US, from California. I forgot his name, but
go ahead, Hector. I apologize.
Yeah, he fought against some talented kid that he was actually on that league. The league that they had a league where if there was teams.
Okay.
The IFL.
The IFL. And I think he won that league, I think. And then he went and fought in the CFC. And then he beat Robert Whittaker for the championship belt. And then Robert Whittaker signed with UFC.
Right.
Did very well.
I think you're talking to Jesse Juarez?
Yes. He was very talented guy.
Yeah, he did a bunch of belts. I mean, he's got 35 MMA fights, 23 and 12.
He beat Robert Whittaker in the CFC, and they ended up being the champion. And then the whole but we brought up the sport, like CFC especially, lift up the sport in Australia,
Hmm.
and all of
For
us.
sure.
And today you see these fake busters that they don't even mention it. Nobody, like I just don't get it.
So there's some confusion on your record. When you fought Damir Mihajlovic,
Yeah,
was that in Australia or was that in Serbia?
that was Serbia.
So the Cage Fighting Championships did an event in Serbia.
No, that was an event that they had in Serbia. That because I'm very close with Serbians in Australia. I was, through for stuff that I used to do in the past. I was very close with Serbians. I was very close with Croatians. We Macedonians. They call that, and I don't want anybody that listening or in the future that will listen get offended. But they call in Australia, they call these people wokes. Anybody that come to Australia from Europe and they have that features, they call it woke. You're woke because you came to Australia to work. If you an American, they call you Yankee. if you from a Spanish like me, you speak Spanish, they call you speaker.
Speaker?
Yeah.
Speaker.
So they have a name for everybody.
Huh. I didn't know that. I've been to Australia 3 times. I never knew that.
They never call it jank. It's that jank. They call that jank up there. Hey, fuck you. Hey, you cunt.
Yeah. They like using that word. Yeah.
Hey, real quick. So I can see why you left Australia. They treated you terrible, man. But so, when you headed over, you went to ATT American Top Team. How was the training over there, man? Did you get along with everybody? How were things over there?
Look, I don't know if you noticed how Brazilians, they're very territorial. Oh yeah. So when I moved to American Top Team, they were very territorial. So I'm like, oh shit, now I have a problem here. Like all these guys that want you to go to lunch with them, talk shit about other guys, this and that. No, I like to do my own shit. I like to do my own thing. So I separate myself from that. Because I like to be my own wolf,
Yep.
And man, that created me a lot of problems. So here we go again. I started sparring, and then Thiago Silva, Pesao, Bigfoot, all these heavyweights, they tried to set me up, and I started knocking them all out. I KO Thiago Silva, I KO Bigfoot, I started KO all of them out, and after that was the day that after that everybody hated me.
Did you
go again?
Did you ever hang out with?
I tried to defend myself from these people to bully me.
Yeah.
And here we go again. I'm already, pushed.
Did you ever hang out with Alexis Vila while you were at American Top Team?
Yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah, how was he in the room?
Alexis, the best guy I ever met.
Oh, nice.
Remember, Alexis and I, we know each other from Cuba.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Olympians.
Wow. So when Alexis always being a very, 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 very territorial / he runs shit. I swear, I don't lie to you. Don't get confused with the size of Alexis. He runs shit. So I remember when, I'm a little bit crazy, but he is 10 times crazier. So he always liked me for some reason. I don't know if it's because maybe I was very honest, or I don't know what it is, but for somehow Alexis always liked me. Maybe he sort of me like, oh man, this guy is crazy like me, so I like this guy.
Crazy so, recognizes crazy.
Right. So since I was a kid in the National Center, he told everybody, like, if you have a deal with this guy, you gotta face me. And then when I went to the national team, he was the same. He always, give me stuff. He would go to overseas, come back, give me money, give me presents. He was like my big brother.
Nice.
That's cool. So after Damir, who you won by decision, formidable opponent, he only lost to top level guys, super, super tough. And Hector beats him in his hometown. So it was very one-sided. For sure it was one-sided. After that, Chris, he brings out Indiana native Tristan Junker to fight Hector. Hector, man, listen, I don't want to talk shit to you. I for sure don't ever want to do that. But he hit a judo throw on you.
Junkers did?
He did. Yeah. Then Hector fucked him up. You're right. It was the one bright spot. That was it.
And if you take a look at his fights, he always put that move on everybody.
Yeah.
So what I said to myself is like, you know what? I gotta let this guy to get that move, so I gotta get his back. Remember, back in the days, I was very into fight. That's before Pussy came along. That's before drama came along.
Yeah.
Because look, when I signed the biggest contract in UFC, I signed one of the biggest contracts in UFC history. Fact.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I was 25 win strike. I was like the hardest thing up there. And I got involved with these women that, bro, I think in my life, that is one of the worst decisions, or if it's not the worst decision I ever made. I'm telling you, like, it really fucked my career, my life, and
they ruin everything. Got away,
they
ruin everything sometimes, man.
But there is, sometimes you got a bad and okay, a really, really, really bad. So she was that type, a really, really, really bad.
Man.
I believe
you know what's funny? You talk about that Tristan Junkers. I was almost fought him here once, and I was under UFC contract, and they were like, I was gonna fight him outside the UFC, and they're like, oh, we don't want you to fight him. He's on our radar. So they okayed Matt Brown, who turned out to be a much better fighter.
You beat Matt Brown, right?
Twice, yeah. But they let me fight Matt Brown. They didn't let me fight Tristan Junkers. Whatever.
So with Junker,
why you don't go back there and beat his ass?
I don't know where he's at no more, man.
So Hector, he had like an interesting ground game. Like once he got to the ground, he would keep his head on the mat like this. So you really couldn't punch him on the side of his face because it was always to the back of the head. Like he would fight by feel, but never raise his head so he wouldn't get cracked too much. It was an interesting style of the way he fought you, and it was actually very smart. Like I've seen some of your past fights. Obviously, I definitely would have done the same thing. I would not want to get punched in the face.
He's a very smart guy. For as young that he was a very, very calculated fighter.
Very crafty.
Yeah. So
I think he submitted Clay Guida once.
He did.
Yes.
And Jason Chambers.
With the same move. That move. That was
that spider move, that arm lock. Yeah.
It's an Americana, but he calls it the tarantula.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was spider tarantula. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you. Once you got to Florida, didn't you have some support and love from like the Cuban community? Even like there are a lot of athletes too that wound up in Florida. Like, some of them a little crazy too, like Yuriorkus Gambia. Then you had like real disciplined guys like Guillermo Rigondo. This is from boxing, right? Did you have any contact with those guys, or were they inspiration to you? How did that work out?
Gamboa, he was always being a dickhead.
Right.
Yeah, I remember me and Gamboa, we grew up to, me, Gamboa, I'm telling you, like me, Gamboa, Rio and Diao, we all grew up in the same school, like for national team, like since like really, really young age. Gamboa was always a dickhead. Wow. I had to slap him a couple times up there in the national team. And yeah, because he always felt like he was better than everybody else. Rio Diao, yes, I do. He was always cool. I'm actually few months ago, he used to go to the boxer and train with us. So I'm always being in contact with Rio Diao. Obviously, Alexis is now in jail, but before he went to jail, he's like my brother. He's, me and him, we going. He was my hero. Since I was a kid, he was always protecting me. So yeah, like.
Now, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So once you go to ATT, like you say, a lot of other people come in there a lot because it's a very good gym, a lot of good fighters. Was there a time like when I thought I heard maybe Josh Barnett came back into that gym and you already didn't like this guy? Did something happen there?
No, I don't think Josh Barnett ever came.
Okay.
No. He's supposed to do some training at one point, but he never came.
Okay.
So Barnett's actually in the next fight. In essence, May 23rd, 2008, Fabiano Capone. I don't know how to say this.
Capuani
from Brazil.
Capuani. It's one of the most vicious endings to a fight I have ever seen on any level, with massive elbows, and you end it in the second round. The caveat, though, it's very interesting how the fight played out, because Fabiano is training under Sergio Te Huna, who was at the Brazilian top team at the time. But Sergio at one time trained Hector when he was at Yoshida Dojo. Did that fight come into play because there was a little bit bad blood there, or was it just by happenstance?
Nah, Cunha never trained me. He was in the gym and I went there and whatever, but no, we kind of like have bad blood because he was very arrogant and he was talking a lot of shit. So I had to prove a point. He was talking trash, similar to this clown. What's the name of him? Juggernaut.
Juggernaut, yeah.
Yeah. She
Lorenzo
talks,
Hunt. Lorenzo Hunt.
She talks too much trash. So and people get mad when I call her she, but she obsessed. Because I don't understand. Look, listen, Chris, you being a fighter, yes, you want to fight some guy, whatever, but the desperation that she has is unbearable. Like, he doesn't give me a break. And you see his Instagram, it's all about me. All he can talk is about me. And I cannot wait to get locked up in there with him. So I gotta show the levels. But look, you've been there. Sometimes you dislike a guy. You make a post here and there, like I am with Tyrone. I truly dislike Tyrone. He's a piece of crap. He's fake. I told him in his face multiple times that you fake. You're a clown. And it's funny because now Tyrone is a gangster. And I'm like, I know this kid. I remember when he used to come, similar story, the Juggernaut, taking pictures. Hey, brother, I'm looking up to you. Like, thanks to you, I came to fight. Huge fan. And now, over the 7, they changed. They're all gangsters. And I'm like, how the fuck you call yourself a gangster
That's not how it works. You know, that ain't how it works, is it? I mean, you got to be authentic and real about it. And a lot of these guys aren't, like you're saying. I mean, you don't say it, you just are. You know what I mean? But a lot of these people try to put that in their mouth, and it ain't true.
I know. It's very hard for me to kind of like understand that when I've been living in the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
And not just the fighting game, but I've been living on the other side of the coin. And I'm like, man, there's so many clowns in this game.
Oh yeah.
But this is a real good time to bring up his next opponent in Australia, because this guy takes the microphone for his walk-in and announces to the crowd.
That was Bob Blood.
Okay, so he announces.
I'm sure Chris knows it.
He announces to the crowd, "Please cheer on your champion one last time before I leave here with your country's pride and belt."
Who was it?
Brian Ebersol.
Oh. Yeah, I watched that fight.
Hey, Chris, you fought him? You ever fought him?
Huh?
Yes. Yep.
You fought him?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, he's a
fucking crazy guy.
Yeah.
He fought everybody. That guy has over 100 fights.
No, I know. Yeah. So
did you fight at weigh-ins?
No, I was so close to because when he came close, I grabbed the shit and I want to hit him with the shit, but I don't know. Once again, there is the guy up there at the top. I don't know. That it had to be somebody, right? Didn't allow me to hit him with the shit because I didn't want to hurt the guy.
Yeah.
He came out with some, I feel like, I don't even know what the fuck it was, that like a freaking roll into a banana. I mean, like, the shit was crazy. That fucking shit that he was wearing that day was fucking ridiculous. But fucking crazy guy.
He was wearing a tap out spandex, like the long ones for the fight. And he's so patient though.
He came at the weigh-ins with it was like a skirt, and the skirt had right there, on your nuts, a big it was the shit was crazy. It was like I'm trying to find the word.
Was it like a fake penis?
It was kind of like a fake penis, but it wasn't a penis. It was
where one that goes to a horse or like an animal.
It was like a elephant trump.
Okay.
I was like, what the?
So he was eating peanuts with his penis.
This guy is weird. So
he still lives in Australia, I think.
He does.
Yeah. Oh, he's fucked up now because he should have moved to America.
Hector, you can say what you want about Brian. The patience that he has in that fight, where Hector's a machine. Like he's like the Terminator. He is coming to kill, and he's got fantastic cardio. And I couldn't imagine being on the receiving end. But Brian is like a junkyard dog. He just hangs in, throws an elbow, and it catches you on the forehead, and it opens up a very large cut. It was the first time I think you've ever been bleeding in an MMA bout.
Yeah. Yes. You're 100% right about that one. But
and then Hector kept steamrolling.
It made me more angry because I was like, look at this baby.
For sure. Yeah, that's true. And Brian finally had enough. I think you broke his ribs. He was cut under each, black eyes on each eye. He was, man.
Look, listen, as a fighter that I am, and obviously Chris is a fighter himself. I have no respect, and I'm not sure what is your opinion, Chris, but my opinion is, look, listen, you can lose by KO, you can lose by submission. Obviously, if he's a black blood, you know. But if you give up a fight, I have no respect for you. Yeah. If you say, I don't want to fight no more, I have no respect for you. I don't care who you are. Like, okay, you can top, you can gain KO. But if you physically that you can fight, say no more, man.
Yeah. Hey,
Chris,
the way I look at it,
Chris, have you ever done that?
No.
I feel like you gotta go with my ego. It's gotta go with my pride. I cannot 100%. Say no more.
The way I always look at it is, you know, as a fighter, man, the fighter should be willing to do whatever out there. I always say the fighter should be willing to die out there, and it's a corner job to never let that happen. They know if you're done, they can throw in tap. But I mean, you got to keep fighting, man. And that's just weird when people, like you say, quitting on the stool is not going to happen. I mean, like I said, you're going to beat me. You're going to beat me by decision. That's the only way you're going to beat me, man. That was always my thought. I'm not going to let you, you're not going to knock me out. You're not going to choke me out. I'm not going to quit. So that's it. There's no such thing as quit ever.
So that's what he did. He quit.
Yeah, I watched that fight. I remember.
Yeah. Well, he fights Ron Verdado, where it's a 15-second KO, and it's just savage. It's a savage just tornado that you see Hector do, which, Hector, that doesn't do you any favors because they're not going to be able to get you an opponent. When you whack somebody like that, the whole country says, man, dude, you guys better go back to Japan, go find somebody else, because you're not helping yourself, even though you're finishing so quick because it's so violent. And that fight is absolutely one of them. So what does the promotion do? They say to themselves, let's get a guy with a name value that can survive because he runs away from everybody, and they bring in Kalib Starnes, who's famous for his defensive positioning and running backward away from his opponent to get decisions. Do you remember that fight, Hector?
I remember that fight.
Well, tell us what happens.
No, I'm finishing quick.
You did?
55.
Oh, nice. The guy who's always the lasting durable guy got finished quick.
Dude,
yeah.
It's not fair. It's like a pro football player playing on a high school field, except they're giving them good opponents. Like they're and Hector, how old are you at this time in 2009?
12 years ago.
That was in 2009?
Yeah.
That fight? Fuck. I thought it was earlier than that. I don't even know. I know I was like 32, I think.
Yeah, you're kind of in your prime. You're like mid-30s, 12 years ago. Yeah. You're in your mid-30s. So from there, you go and fight in Bellator. So I'm assuming you live full-time in Florida because you take 3 fights in the United States.
Yeah. I didn't want that at the beginning, but something that I really like from America, it was like I felt like I wasn't questioning. I felt like it's the first time that I'm in a country that is not mine, but I feel like it's my country.
Mm.
I never felt that in Australia. Mm. And don't get me wrong, I love Australia. You know, I have a good friends in Australia. But I always felt like it was very hard for me to be in Australia, which is like I didn't have that in America. Like, you know, obviously right now I'm an American. I have a citizenship. And when I say to anybody, whether I'm talking to you or Chris or whatever, I'm an American. They say, okay. But if I would say to you guys, if you guys would be Australian, I'm Australian, they would be like, yeah, but where's your background? or they would say like, yeah, but where you came from? Yeah. Or yeah, but where's your family? Or you born here? Really? You born here? Really? Okay, what about your family?
Mm.
you know, you always gonna get in Australia that question, like, you don't belong here.
Man,
this is not your spot. And it really affected me because I wanted to represent the country. I wanted to always be proud to be an Australian, always be. And it always that thing shocked me because they never allow me to be one of them.
yeah.
And it sucks. And that's one of the beautiful things about America, that anybody can be an American.
Hey, well, just so you know, I'm glad to have you here. I know a lot of people are glad to have you be here. Glad to have you be an American, man. And just to move
should have came
bit,
sooner.
Yeah, exactly. You should have been here 10 years before that. Anyway, I want to move on a little bit to what was it that got you to decide, man, I'm gonna do this bare knuckle thing, because I love having you there. But what got you to say, I think bare knuckles for me? Why did you like it?
Look, when I was in the UFC, and a lot of people obviously gonna say, that's an excuse, whatever. I entered the UFC with 25 wins straight. And I was supposed to go and run over everybody. And I remember when I was driving, and I was with my ex at the time, and she goes to me, because that was that kind of girl, right? That was that kind of girl, like, you can never have a peace with, you can never have a peace. And one day I'm driving, she goes to me, you know why you signed the biggest contract UFC? You know why you got big signing bonus? And you know why you doing this, you doing that? I said, I know why. Because of me.
So it wasn't because of the hard work?
I crashed the car, slashed the car from the side. I'm in a 95. And I got so angry. Like, I say, because who? Because of me. I say, because of fucking me, motherfucker. And I fractured my sternum. So I went to my first fight with a fracture in my sternum. It was like 3.5 weeks for that fight. Wow. I couldn't barely train. And I went there with a fractured sternum. So from there, like, taking drugs with her, because, I come from the back broken from my dad and all the past that I had in the streets, and try to hustle and try to make a living, and it wasn't that great like people think it was, because I manifest myself in a different way, and I'm an inventor and stuff like that, and I'm an entrepreneur, but I didn't have how people think that I had it. So I was involved, especially when I was in Australia. I was involved with a lot of no good people. So I was taking drugs. I was doing a lot of bad things. So meeting her and she getting back with me with that kind of things. I didn't even have time to train. It was always fighting, or it's always drinking, smoking, taking so many kind of shit. And I feel like between the dramas that I had with her and stuff like that, didn't allow me to be my best.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Now I'm out of the UFC. I remember when I signed, I was like almost 2 years without fighting. But that gave me time to reflect on myself, reflect like, I still got that fighter on me. I still can prove that I can be great without the bad people that I have around me, and that's what made me come back to prove a point that I could do better, but I didn't do good because the influence that I have around me at that time. Remember, I signed a big contract with the UFC, big money, big name. The wrong people came.
Yep.
Exactly. So it really fucked me. But now I'm signing and I'm coming from bottom up. I'm coming from the bottom up. So I'm not drinking anymore, especially like I used to. I don't take drugs like, party, crazy shit, like fucking like crazy motherfucker shit. I don't do none of that. I'm coming from the bottom up, and I want to prove, you know, my last years that I have left, that I can do something great before I retire. Yep. So that's one of the reasons why I came back, to prove that I could be good. I could be better than what I did. I could have done better than what I did.
Have you ever thought, I mean, you've talked about trauma. You've been incredibly open on this interview. Like you've opened your doors to us and the listeners.
Yeah, I have to. You know why I have to? Because a lot of people always say like, hey, but what happened to you? Why, you know, I was 7 from 25 wins straight and smashing everybody. You get there and you lose this. It's not because of the level. First of all, Team Bosch is not a level where anybody can say Team Bosch was a joke, but I just didn't fool this guy 100%. I would have KO'd the guy if I would have been 100%. People doesn't know that. But regardless what it is, I just didn't perform, and nobody's gonna take that as a consideration, because it is what it is. Already happened. But my point is, I decided to sign with Bernaco because I feel like the little left that I have, I want to prove it in Bernaco.
Man, here's the beautiful thing I know about sports like this is, man, like no matter what, you know, it's happened in the past, is like, you know, you can utilize that and be like, okay, I'm going to make sure as I go out at the end of my career, I'm going to go out and do everything I can to be successful. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do everything perfect. Because at the end of the day, like, I was happy when I retired. I knew I did everything I could to be successful. You know, I tried as hard as I could. I was dedicated. So you have that opportunity now. You got to go into bare knuckle. You can be as dedicated as you want, and you can retire the way you want to. And that's what I want for you, man. You go out on your terms when you want and just show the best Hector Lombard there is. So just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Let me ask you a question before we finish, because I know you guys got to leave.
Yeah.
Have you now at the end, now, especially now that you obviously you are very involved in the company with Bernaco.
Yeah.
You feel like, you know, I can fucking do this, or you should like, you know what, I don't want to be part of this at all?
Oh no, I still feel like I want to sometimes, you know, like I'll go out there and I'll watch them fights. I'm like, man, just the love to compete. And I don't want to fight like bad guys. Like when I watch like Thiago Alves fight, his last fight, it made me want to come fight Thiago again, just because I respect the dude and I like the way he fights. I was like, man, that's what I'm talking about. It gets me excited. You know what I mean? So I still feel like I have the ability to, you know, but and I still have the desire to. It's
that would
tough,
be a fight
man.
to make. That would be a fight to make, though.
Yeah, that would be. It'd be a cool, man. I'd love it, man.
Why you don't do that one?
I know they want me to, man. I don't know. I have to.
Hector sparred him.
Huh?
You guys used to spar Hector, you and Thiago.
No. We only spar once.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm thinking like that would be a fight to sell, because
Hector
Thiago was the legend. And this is something that, you know, I want to keep it clear, especially in this interview. I don't have bad feelings with Thiago. I respect the guy. Honestly, Thiago is one of the nicest guys I ever met.
Yeah, he's super cool.
He's super cool, super respectful. But the reason why I wanted to fight him is because he's one of the biggest names in Barnett.
Yeah.
And I want to prove myself with legends. You know, I don't want to fight bumps. I don't want to fight a guy who, you know, is gonna be a 6-second KO or 5-second KO. No, I want to fight guys with big names, with big reputation, and that's why I wanted to fight Thiago, not for anything else. Because if Thiago would be a no name, I could care less about Thiago. But he has the name, he has the reputation. He's been there everywhere, from you name it. His career speaks for himself. And that's the reason why I wanted to fight him. Nothing else. But honestly, I maybe be a matchmaker here. I think that's the fight to make.
I like
for your retirement.
There we go.
Did you ever roll? How did you get along with Yoel Romero at America Top Team? Another Cuban.
Look, listen. Yoel Romero stopped fighting because of me. You know, I remember back in the days when I was in Cuba talking about, because I was always being a fighter. I was, you know, try to fight the boxers, try to fight the wrestlers, try to fight. And he ended up fighting, but he ended up fighting because of me. He ended up coming to America because of me. You know, I spoke to the manager to bring him from Germany. We started training together. You know, I teach him so many stuff. But you know how it is, like he become big and
they forget.
You know what happened.
That's too bad. All right, can we throw some names at you? Would you mind?
Sorry?
Can we throw some names at you?
Yeah.
Babalu.
Babalu?
Yeah. Sobro.
Renato, the Brazilian. What do you think of him? What's up with him? What do you think?
Just your opinion.
No, I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's struggling right now.
Like what?
I hate to hear that.
CTE.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
You know, and this is very sad to hear because I feel like he was always very nice guy. Even if he kind of like didn't like me because he was very close to Josh Barnett or whatever. Yeah, that's what really happened because he was very good friend with Josh, and I hated Josh. And for some reason, he ended up hating me too. So I'm okay with that. I never hate the guy. I always felt like he was a good guy. But I always felt like, man, he started slowing the way he was thinking. Like you would asking a question, and he'd be like,
Wow.
And I'm like, fuck. And little by little, he was decreasing and decreasing, and fuck. But yeah, that's very sad.
What about one of your early managers, Malki Kawa?
What about him?
That's just your opinion.
I started the guy. Like, this is the good thing about it, and this is something that I'm pretty sure like Chris has been going through too. Like, because we've been so old in the game that all these people that you see in today, you're like, oh, you what? No, I know this guy.
Yeah.
You know, I know who you are. I know you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, they cannot come up to us and come out with different stories or whatever.
Yeah.
So I remember like when he wanted to sign me and he picked up the phone and started talking super quick. I was like, whoa, what the fuck, dude? Who the fuck are you? Oh, I'm Malki Kawa, you know, I'm just interested on, I'm like, bro, back off. I hang up. And then, and then his partner, his partner, Rick, called me up, Ricardo Llorente. And he's Cuban. So, you know, we started talking about baseball. We started talking about, so I ended up liking, I liked Ricky. And when I came to Florida, I ended up signing. But Mikey never delivered anything that he said. So I fired him. I fired his ass.
Yeah.
What about Sam Greco?
Good guy. I was training with him in Australia at the Hangar 4. I don't know if you ever heard of Hangar 4. And I like Sam Greco. He's a good guy.
Okay, Nate Marquardt, Chris, your buddy.
Nate Marquardt?
Yeah.
You know, I only spoke to him maybe twice before that fight, and then not long ago because he moves here to Florida. I think he's a nice guy. You know,
cool. Because I know he there was a little bit of heat between you guys for a while because he was refusing to fight you for a while.
Smart. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, I agree.
No, he was the one that wanted to fight me.
Oh, he did.
He turned you down multiple times. Dana White would even say that on the press conferences.
Yeah. Because I know it's a bunch of people and this is something that people doesn't know. But Nick Diaz didn't want to fight me. Never wanted to fight me. Tyron Woodley never wanted to fight me. Demi Maya never wanted to fight me. At any cost, he said, nope, I want to never with this guy, especially Demi Maya at that time.
Bisping?
Never wanted to fight me either. But Bisping is smart. Bisping is smart. Like, he never wanted to fight Joel either. You know why? Because Joel would have been.
Murder.
Oh, dude, Yoel's a beast. He's a savage. Dude,
especially remember when Joel KO Chris Whitman.
Oh, yeah. That knee,
he was
head.
Up there at the top, and then he was calling him up, "Come down." He never came.
Man,
what's going on? Why he hates so much on Chris? Why he hates so much on bare knuckle?
Who? Dana?
No, Bisping.
The way I look at it, people hate on it right now because they feel threatened by it. They don't want. He's a commentator. He's afraid it's going to take away from him. I don't know, man. I mean, if you're a fighter, the way I look at it, if you're a fighter, bare knuckles got to intrigue you, man. It's purest form of fighting, and people come to fight. I love it. Who doesn't like this, man? I mean, people. Yeah. It's real fighting. I'm an old school guy. That's what fighting was back then. We didn't wear gloves. You could headbutt. You could do anything. This is a fight. They made a lot of rules with MMA. I still like to fight. You know, I'm still an old school guy, and I love the bare knuckle. It's real fighting to me. That's why I'm here.
But I really, honestly, now that we're talking about you, I really would like to see you walking away with the belt.
I love what you say, man. You get me going again. I'm have to go to the gym tomorrow and train.
I really want to see you walking away with the championship belt, and the opportunity is right there.
I have to talk to Dave Feldman. We'll have to talk to him. Hey,
Feldman, what he's done, he has brought it to levels that most people couldn't imagine. Like, he has done a phenomenal job with his product. I mean, it is polished. I'm
loving it. It's fun to be at, man. I mean, Hector there with us is great, man. And I gotta tell you, Hector, man. I mean, you know, before I ever met you, I heard you was a crazy guy, but man, you've been nothing but cool and nice and happy. Every time I say we've got a smile on his face, just happiest guy. I love being around you, man. So thank you for being so cool. Thank you for being such a good guy. And man, I really appreciate all your time.
One more, Hector. I got one more.
Before you give me the one more, I want to tell Chris. Chris, it's like you're a super nice guy, but if I touch your buttons, I'm gonna find your way to get upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so it goes the same way with me. Like, the people think like they just can come in and do whatever the fuck they want, and no, that's not the way it's gonna be. You treat me with respect, I gotta respect you back. You treat me like a piece of shit, I gotta treat you like a piece of shit. You know, and it's levels. You know, it's like the clothing. You know, it has layers and it has sewing and you gotta work your way to make that clothes.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
Simple. But the people they just like they want to do whatever the fuck they want, and then they judge.
Yeah.
But I do want to see you with the belt before you retire.
Hector, have you ever looked into psilocybin, like mushrooms, for the neuroplasticity of your brain because of concussions or trauma? I mean, you're very coherent. I don't think you've had. I mean, if you've had concussions, you can't even tell.
I had one concussion when I was with my ex.
Have you ever thought about mushrooms?
Mushrooms, the ones you get high with it.
Well, it's also a vitamin for your brain. Yes.
You don't take them a lot to get high, is what he's saying. You take this a little bit to make you healthy.
No, I never tried.
Hector, let me tell you something, man. It is a difficult experience. You got to do like 4 grams, but once you get through it, all the pain, the anger goes away.
Where you get those?
We'll talk.
That's a good deal.
Miguel's in Costa Rica.
Hey, man, go ahead.
We gotta go to Costa Rica at one point.
Yeah,
especially
nice.
bare knuckle, bro.
Oh, I love it. Good idea. Hey, Hector, you've been more than gracious with your time. I really appreciate it. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. And anything else to say, Mike, Miguel? What do you guys got?
I just think,
guy.
yeah, Hector, thank you so much. I think it's really special. We do a history podcast and we get a lot of retired guys, but Hector's still fighting and you can still feel the edge. It makes a difference. And I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, man.
So,
good luck with everything you do.
Let me ask you a question, like, because this is very clever. Like, you guys putting everything together and putting the history books?
Yeah, we're trying to just do history, talking about all the old fights.
Twice a week.
Because everybody talks about UFC, but not all those Australian stories that you just told
Those
us.
are awesome.
That's gold.
No, I just feel like that is very clever what you guys doing, and
it's all we do.
And if you can just put that on the CD or something where you can store all that information and let it on, put it in pieces. That way, what I'm saying is that way you guys don't waste, because we've been talking for like an hour and plus. That way you don't waste all that interview, like mistake way. Because if you put the interview up there, it's gonna just go away. But if you store it, and then in the future, a lot of people can get to see it all the time. Like, okay, we have a database of Hector, how he came up with. Okay, we have a database of Chris later.
That's what we're doing.
No, you're absolutely right, man. That's what we want. That's what we want. And you are a great addition. We're very, very grateful. And like I said, man, I can't wait to see you fight again. And that feels good to say.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, brother, I'll see you next month or a month and a half, something like that. See you, bud.
See you guys.
Wow, Mike. So here, Hector Lombard's in the books, and you were right. You were right. Very interesting stuff. He's a guy who's not afraid to speak his mind and the truth. And we just booked a little over 2 hours with him, what I think is unprecedented stuff. And I don't know, I would almost stick my neck out and be like, I think he likes us.
I think he does too. And the thing with Hector is you kind of got to tap dance, because we're going to see Hector. Chris is going to see Hector. His name is on this podcast, obviously. And he's going to see Hector, and I'm going to see Hector. And the last thing that I want to do is appear in one of his videos where, I've got my hands folded like this, begging for forgiveness. I don't want that. But the one, like telltale, the one thing that we had mentioned was this defection story. Man, it got off to a rough start, this interview.
Yeah, he shut me down like crazy.
I thought, man, this might be our fastest interview ever, and we're going to publish it regardless.
I know Chris and Mike are going to actually be in contact with him. I don't, I'm glad I didn't piss him off, because I don't feel safe here in Costa Rica. Only 4,000 miles between us is just not enough if I had gotten really on his bad side. But I think he enjoyed it. I think he wanted to get a lot of that off his chest. And I think some of it is, not to be made light of. I think there are some very interesting and powerful points and things that he went through, from, migrating and things like that to crazy women.
Miguel, here's the
whole
thing,
gamut of things.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, Australian MMA scene is incredibly profound in regards to history. Like, we're not going to avoid that subject in the future. We're going to go head up with some of the local pioneers that helped put forth the local, the MMA scene in the beginning. But the thing is, it's almost as if Australia had a very real MMA scene, and then Hector Lombard showed up. And it kind of let them understand there's levels of realness. And I don't think they were ready for him. Like, I really, really don't. Like, you watch some of those early fights. Obviously, you're going to be seeing them, you just heard him talk us through them. They're bonkers. They're nuts. The break-in regards to his house 1 week before a fight, I had a feeling that it was in regards to some issues with gyms there, trying to knock him off his square. There's a lot happening with Hector, and it doesn't stop there. And we're going to have him back on, and we're going to go through Bellator, and then we'll bring him back a third time and talk about the UFC, and a fourth for BKFC. I mean, the guy is still, plugging away. It's fantastic interview. I was real happy with it.
Yeah, he's a machine. So without further ado, we will move on to the next one. But this one's one for the ages.
Absolutely.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.